Hi students, myself Subramanya, lecturer in biology. Students, this is my 6th class. In my 5 previous classes, I have made a discussion about the asexual reproduction in organisms. I hope you have all well understood the topics which I have discussed in my classes. Students, in this class, I am going to start the discussion of the sexual reproduction in organisms. Before going to start the discussion, students, I would like to give you the topics which we are going to discuss in this part or in this portion of the chapter. Students, we are going to study features of sexual reproduction, reproductive cycles, events of sexual reproduction. I am going to consider them in details. And in addition to these topics, we also need to consider some more aspects, the supporting information which is being given in your textbook. Okay? So, before going to begin the discussion of the chapters which are directly concerned with your syllabus, I would like to recap some of the information which already you have studied in your first year PUC, so that you can have an immediate grip and can have a clarity in your concepts, clarity in the concepts which we are going to discuss in this chapter, in this class. And it will provide you a very good convenience to understand. Okay? So, first let us consider something what is called haploidy. Okay. And then you have studied cell division in first PUC, and I will give you, or I will discuss the points which you require just to understand sexual reproduction. And then we shall know about sex organs, basic information about the sex organs in animals and plants. And then like sexuality in organisms, right? So, if you understand these aspects, I am very much confident that you can catch the points which I give you regarding to the topics which have written this part of the board, right? Students, what is ploidy? Ploidy is a word, something which is related to the chromosomes in our cells. So, let me consider the example of human cell. In our cell, let me consider a cell. In our cell, how many chromosomes are there? All of you know we have 46 chromosomes. Is that we do have 46 different types of chromosomes? No. We have 23 different types of chromosomes, and these 23 different types of chromosomes are present twice. So, what is the meaning of that? We have 2 sets of chromosomes. Each set has 23 chromosomes, and each individual chromosome is present twice. And I have told you this already. Let me write it like this. If it is chromosome number 1, chromosome number 1 is present twice. Chromosome number 2, it is present twice. In the same way, all the 23 chromosomes are present twice. Okay? So, this is one set of chromosomes, and this is another set of chromosomes, right? In different organisms, different types of plants, animals, the number of chromosomes in a set may vary. Number of chromosomes in a set will vary from organism to organism, but an organism may have a single set of chromosomes. Some of the lower organisms like algae, bryophytes, they may have a single set of chromosomes in their body cells, and the higher organisms like animals and plants will have 2 sets of chromosomes in their cells usually. So, here a single set of chromosome is represented by a small letter, English small letter n. right? So, if I ask you how many N's are there in our body cells, you will simply say we have 2N number of chromosomes. Okay? So, the number of sets of chromosomes present in the cells of the body of the organism, we call that as a ploidy. So, what is ploidy? The number of sets of chromosomes present in the cells of the body of the organism is called as a ploidy. And when a cell has got a single set of chromosome, you see here a cell, it is having only one set of chromosome. When a cell has got only one set of chromosome, we call the situation as haploid. And when a cell has got two sets of chromosomes, like this. When a cell has got two sets of chromosomes like this, we call this as diploid. Right? And in certain special situations, the number of sets of chromosomes may even be more, like 3 sets of chromosomes, a triploid, 4 sets of chromosomes, a tetraploid, pentaploid, and so on. But for me, I require this information. So, a haploid cell with single set of chromosome and a diploid cell with 2 sets of chromosomes. So, next let us go to cell division. You know, students, cell division is the process where a single cell divides to give rise to 2 daughter cells, like this. Okay? And at the time of division of cell, a cell, its cell organelles is partitioned and distributed to daughter cells, and at the same time even the chromosomes are also to be distributed to daughter cells. So, here usually what happens, if 2 sets of chromosomes are there in a mother cell, before the process of division, you have studied that, before the process of division, these chromosomes will undergo duplication, that is replication, and the chromosomes are equally distributed among daughter cells. Okay? Here 2 sets of chromosomes are there, even daughter cells too have 2 sets of chromosomes. So, a diploid cell has given rise to 2 diploid daughter cells, and in the same way here, let me consider haploid cell. Here too it will divide. A haploid cell divide to give rise to 2 daughter cells. What would happen here? In the very same way, similar to the process which has taken place here, a single set of chromosomes will undergo replication or duplication, and 2 sets of chromosomes are equally distributed to daughter cells. So, a cell divides to give rise to 2 daughter cells, where the chromosomes are equally distributed to daughter cells. So, this type of division, it is called as a mitosis. Right? A mitosis, you have studied this. The mitosis will take place at the time of growth and development of the body of the organism usually. There is another one type of division which takes place during sexual reproduction. Okay? I will explain that later on. Here, what kind of division will take place during the sexual reproduction in cells? You see here, this is the diploid cell. This diploid cell will divide to give rise to 2 daughter cells, where here the chromosome, 2 sets of chromosomes are there, whereas in case of daughter cells, only 1 set of chromosome will be there. There is a reduction in the number of chromosomes. A mother cell is having 2 sets of chromosome, daughter cells are receiving just a single set of chromosome, the number of chromosomes are reduced to half. And further, these daughter cells will divide to give rise to 4 cells. In all these 4 cells, there is a presence of single set of chromosomes. So, what is it? A diploid mother cell has given rise to 4 haploid daughter cells. So, this type of division, we call this as a meiosis. Okay? So, mitosis and meiosis. This meiosis, meiotic cell division, take place at the time of sexual reproduction. Okay? So, now the question is, you have studied, I have told you that this meiotic cell division, where the number of chromosomes are reduced to half, take place at the time of sexual reproduction. In which part of the body this meiotic division take place during the time of sexual reproduction? And what is the reason of this meiotic cell division? That you have to understand. Okay, so let me wipe this off. Students, during sexual reproduction, it's a very marvelous kind of reproduction, and this sexual reproduction offers an advantage over the asexual reproduction. And one miracle in the sexual reproduction is that this sexual reproduction offers variations in the offsprings born. I have told you this. The organisms born by the process of sexual reproduction shows variations in their body features, in their characters. Right. So how this sexual reproduction take place? Let me explain like this. Just you consider an individual of a species. This A is an individual of a particular species of organism. And this A dash is another one individual of the same species. The species is same. And this A individual is a multicellular animal. For your, just it's an assumption, it's a multicellular animal. And A dash is also, both are same species, a multicellular animals. They are taking part in the process of sexual reproduction. What happens? This A contributes a cell from its body. Contributes a cell. Let me put it like this. A contributes a cell. And A dash contributes a cell at the time of sexual reproduction. And both these cells will fuse with each other to form a cell, a fused cell, which is a first cell of next generation. And these two cells contributed by these two individuals of the same species, we call them as a gametes. I write it here. Gametes. Okay. So these gametes are always haploid. They will have single set of chromosomes. Just you assume this animal is diploid. In its body cells, two sets of chromosomes are there. This is also diploid. And in the body of this animal, in the sex organs, there occurs a special type of cell division, what we call as a meiosis, where the number of chromosomes are reduced to half. And these cells formed by the process of meiosis are released, are contributed for the process of sexual reproduction. And these cells formed in this way are simply called as gametes. Usually, in case of animals, a gamete from one of the parent, these two are parents, a gamete from one of the parent will be comparatively smaller. And it is motile, smaller and motile, it can move from place to place, motile. And in order to provide the mobility, I am considering animal, it is having a tail. And we call this as a sperm. And another gamete, a cell contributed by a female individual, this is the male. A male contributes a specialized cell for the process of sexual reproduction. A male contributes a specialized sex cell. A male contributes a specialized haploid sex cell, more correctly, more conveniently. This male producing haploid sex cell, it will produce a haploid sex cell at the time of sexual reproduction, we call that as sperm. And this one, female individual of the same species, which I considered as a A dash, produces another one cell, which is comparatively larger. And it is stationary, it do not move. Usually it do not move, it is stationary. And we call this as a ovium. Ovium. Ova is plural form of a ovium. Ovium is a singular. Ova means plural form. It will produce a ovium. And this sperm and ovium, we call them as a gametes or simply sex cells. What are gametes? Gametes are haploid sex cells which will participate in the process of reproduction, sexual reproduction. Okay? So here the gametes what we have taken into consideration in case of animals, they are the sperm and ova. In case of plants, like a sperm, there will be a antherozoid. Antherozoid can be a male gamete. A sperm or antherozoid is a male gamete. Here ovum or egg will be a female gamete. Female gametes. Right? So then what are gametes? Gametes are haploid sex cells produced in the sex organs, usually by the process of meiosis in diploid parents, prospective parents which will take part in the process of reproduction. Gametes are haploid sex cells produced in sex organs by the process of meiotic cell division at the time of sexual reproduction. Okay? Male gametes are sperm or antherozoid. Female gametes are ovum or egg. Okay? So one clarification here. Students, you may ask me a question like this. Sir, if an organism is haploid, if it is having haploid body cells, then what way the gametes are formed? In case of bryophytes, in algae, lower algae, the body cells are haploid. When body cells are haploid, the gametes are formed by the process of mitosis. This is one additional information for you. Okay. So now you have understood what is the meaning of ploidy, haploidy and diploidy. And you have understood that in diploid organisms, the meiosis takes place at the time of formation of gametes. And then you have understood what the mitosis and meiosis. And also you have got the brief idea about the gametes. Okay. Next, let me go to sex organs. Okay. So this male organism, male individual of a species has got a sex organ which is called a testis in animals. Testis. And female individual of a species has got a ovary. Ovary. And testis has got a special type of cells which will undergo meiosis to produce the sperm. We call them as a sperm mother cells, and the ovary has got special type of cells which will undergo meiosis, which we call as ova mother cells, or simply we can call them as a germ cells. Germ cells, the meaning of germ is to give birth, generation, giving rise to new generation. That's a germ, germination. You have studied that germination is the process of development of new plant body, taking new birth. So that's something the word germ is pertained. I mean the word germ is related to the generation, producing new generation of offsprings. So here the germ cells, a sperm mother cell produces sperm, and ova mother cells in the ovary will produce the ova. Right, students? So the testis and ovary which have got germ cells, sperm mother cells and ova mother cells are called as a primary sex organs in the animals. In case of plants, the sex organs like testis, here it is called as stamen. In flower, there is a male sex organ which is called a stamen in a plant, and in the flower, the female sex organ is a pistil. Pistil. As how sperms are produced in testes, male gametes, here the male gametic cells are produced in the stamen, in plant body. And in the same way as how ova is produced in the ovary, ova are produced in the ovary, in the plants, the ovum or the egg is produced, egg cell is produced in the pistil. Right. So what I wanted to make you understand is that I wanted to familiarize the names of sex organs so that I can explain those topics very well for you. So name this male sex organ, testis in animal, ovary, a female sex organ in animal. Male reproductive part of the flower, stamen, and female reproductive part of the flower, it is pistil. Okay, students, you remember this? Right. Next, okay, what did we study? Ploidy, cell division. You got the idea about the gametes, you know about the sex organs, and sexuality in organisms. Sexuality in organisms, first let me consider plants. Let me consider a plant now. This is the plant, a body of a plant, right? Right. Okay. So here, this plant produces a flower. Produces a flower. I will take this flower here, this part, this side. This is the flower. Here there is a presence of female sex organ, which we call as a pistil. This is the female sex organ, a pistil. Pistil is having a stigma, style, and ovary. You have studied this in your high school classes. As well, you are going to study in the second chapter, reproduction in organisms. For time being, you understand this. There is a female sex organ. Here there is a presence of a ovule, inside which there is a presence of a ova. This is the ovule which is going to develop into seed. Here there is a presence of a ova. In the same way, a flower may also have a male sex organ stamen. This is the stamen. This is at another stamen, right? This stamen has got the filament. This is the stalk filament. Here it is the anther part. Inside the anther there is a presence of a pollen grains, right? Okay. And if you take out one pollen grain like this, here there is a presence of one cell and there is a presence of male gametes like this. I told you, no? This sperm is a male gamete in case of animals. In the same way, in case of plants, these two cells act as male gametes. And in lower plants, like algae, antherozoids may act as male gametes, right? So now, in case of plants, these sex organs, stamen and pistil, is present in flower. The male sex organ, stamen, and female sex organ, the pistil, both of them are present in the same flower, in the example which I have given here. Okay. So then what is this flower? This flower has got both the sexual parts, male part and female part. So it's a bisexual flower. Bisexual. What is the meaning of bisexual? Bi means two. It has got both the reproductive structures, male reproductive structure as well female reproductive structure. Both of them are present in the flower. And the plant which bears this bisexual flower is a bisexual plant. It is a bisexual plant. It is a single plant, a single body. A plant body, it is also called as a thallus. A single body, a single thallus has got the flower with both the reproductive structures, male and female reproductive structure. So we call this as a bisexual plant, or we also call this as a monoecious condition. Okay, single plant having both male and female reproductive structure is a monoecious condition or bisexual condition. And we use another one term here to represent the same thing. Okay. The root word for that term is a thallus. Here the thallus is the same, and the same thallus bears both the male and female reproductive structure. We also call this as a homothallic. Right? Homothallic, bisexual, monoecious condition, all are almost synonyms. The words which carry same meaning. Okay? A particular plant having both the reproductive organs, we call that as a homothallic, bisexual or monoecious condition. It is very important. So there is another one situation, right? Another one situation. Okay. you consider two plants. You consider two plants like this, right? Right. So here, this plant 2 is bearing flower. So the flower in plant A and plant A dash, both are the plants of the same species. Here, the flower of this plant is having only pistil, that is female reproductive part in the flower. Okay, only female reproductive structure is present in the flower, and the flower is pistillate, and the plant which is bearing this pistillate flower is a female plant. It's female, right? It's a female plant. And here you assume that here there is a flower which has got only stamens, male reproductive parts of the flower. So then how do you consider this? This is a staminate flower. Staminate flower or a male flower. Okay, this is the symbol to represent the male, and this is the symbol to represent the female. You know that this is the female plant bearing pistillate, that is a female flower. This is the plant having the flower which has only the stamens, that is the staminate flower. This is the male plant and this is the female plant. This is another condition. So here the plants are not bisexual. They do not have both the kind of reproductive organs. So here we consider the condition as unisexual. I write it here. Unisexual. This is a unisexual condition. Instead of monoecious, single plant bearing both the type of sex organs, here it is a dioecious. Okay, two types of plants are there having male and female sex organs. Here, instead of homothallic, we say heterothallic. Okay, students, sexuality in plants. The plants may be homothallic or heterothallic. Homothallic plants are bisexual and monoecious, and they do have both the sex organs, pistil and stamens. Heterothallic plants are unisexual. They may have a flower with the pistil, or they may have the flower with the stem. Okay, the example for homothallic bisexual plants is very common, like a hibiscus plant and coconut tree. Of course, in coconut tree, male flower, female flower are different, not the way how I wrote earlier, where a flower has got both the reproductive structure. Pistillate and staminate flowers are different. They are separate, but still both of the flowers are present on the same plant. That's another situation. They also are bisexual. So hibiscus is example for bisexual plant. A coconut is example for bisexual plant, and cucurbit plant is example for bisexual plant. 3 examples as per the information in your textbook. Here in heterothallic unisexual plant, papaya is example, and date palm is example for the unisexual plants. Okay, students, I'll wipe this off. Right, students, when you are going through my video, in case if you find some difficulty in understanding, you can go back and replay that, or simply you can pause the video at any particular time and you can go through what I have written over the video, or you can simply take this screenshot and you can make a notes, or you can add a points to the notes what we have given. Okay, so now let us consider sexuality in animals. As like in case of plants, the bisexual plants, even some animals like earthworm and leech. Earthworm leech can have both the reproductive structure, testis and ovary, in a earthworm. A earthworm, a single, can have both testis and ovary. So this condition we call as a bisexual condition. Bisexual condition. And they are also called as hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites, right? A earthworm can produce both sperm and ova. Another earthworm, it can also produce the sperm and ova. But usually what happens? Though they do have an ability to produce both the sex cells, both the type of gametes, still they sexually interact with each other. A sperm from a body of this earthworm will be transferred to here, and the sperm from the body of this earthworm is transferred to here, so that exchange of gametes will usually take place. We call this as a cross fertilization, the process of fusion of sperm and ova. We call that as a fertilization. Here cross fertilization is taking place, though they are hermaphrodites. But in case of certain animals like tapeworm, you have studied that in Platyhelminthes in first year PUC. It's an endoparasite and it is also hermaphrodite. Each individual segment. So this is the tapeworm, right? So here these are the segments. We call that as a pseudo segmentation, false segments. Each individual segment has got both male and female reproductive structures. Here, as because this is endoparasite, the chances of meeting another one individual of its same species, a sexual partner, is very meager, it's very less. So what happens in this situation? A self-fertilization may take place. Okay? In hermaphrodites, there is a possibility of self-fertilization in certain animals like tapeworm, and in certain animals like earthworm and leech, they may sexually interact with each other and cross fertilization may take place. Okay? So what I wanted to tell you, animals too can be bisexual, and the very special word what we use to refer this bisexuality is hermaphroditism or hermaphrodites. And those animals which either have a male sex organ, testes, and female sex organ, ovary, we call them as a unisexual. Unisexual condition. And the unisexual condition will give rise to a situation where there is a male which will produce a sperm and female which will produce the ova. Two sexes are there. Two sexes. And at the time of sexual reproduction, sperm producing male has come together with ova producing female to take part in the process of reproduction, and they produces these sex cells, gametes, and these gametes will fuse with each other, like the sperm fuse with each other to produce a first cell of next generation. We call that as a zygote. Okay students, with this basic information I think I can go to discuss features of sexual reproduction. So let me wipe this off. Okay. So in your textbook, they have narrated and they have given explanation for the sexual reproduction, and they say what is actually the sexual reproduction. The first point, you consider that to be a definition for the sexual reproduction. The first point, how can we define sexual reproduction? Is the type of reproduction where there is an involvement of two parents. Okay, it's very clear. Where there is an involvement of two parents. Right? Of opposite sex. Is it clear? I have explained you. What is that opposite sex? Male and female. And which is the male individual? Male individual is the individual of a species which has testes and produces a sperm in case of animal. And the female one, a female individual in case of animal is the animal which has, it's an individual which has the ovary and which produces the ova. Okay. The definition for sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is the process of reproduction which involves two parents of opposite sex, right? And then the second point, they produce gametes, right? What are gametes? These are sex cells, haploid sex cells. How to represent haploid? A single cell. Haploid sex cells produced by the process of meiosis. Okay, during sexual reproduction, the two parents of the opposite sex produces gametes, haploid sex cells, sperm and ova, anthrozoid or egg, by the process of meiosis in case of diploid parents, right? But in case of haploid parents, the gametes may be formed by the process of mitosis. That is clear for you. And then point number 3, gametes, sperm and ova. I write it here. I consider sperm and ova fuse with each other. And the fusion of sperm and ova, this is the ova, here the sperm will reach the ova with the help of its tail, it will swim, and both of them, the product of fusion of sperm and ova, you know, it is called as a zygote. The process of fusion, so the fusion, we use the word syn. Syn means to fuse. To fuse. What is that which is undergoing fusion? What are those cells which are undergoing fusion? These gametes are undergoing fusion to produce a zygote. Gametes are undergoing syn fusion. So we call this as syngame. Syngame. Gametes are undergoing fusion, syngame, or more popularly, we call this as a fertilization. Fertilization. Okay. The first point, the first feature of sexual reproduction, two parents of opposite sex. The second point, the gametes are formed by the process of meiosis. Gametes are haploid. And third point, the gametes undergo fertilization, syngame, to produce a zygote. Zygote is the first cell of the next generation, right? A zygote is a link between one generation to another generation. And fourth point, a feature of sexual reproduction. You know, students, here the sperm is produced by one parent. And one prospective parent, future parent. Sperm produced by one parent, one individual of species. Ova, another individual of species. And both these individuals may have come from different genetic background. What is the different genetic background? That they do have different traits in characters, different traits in characters. Okay. So a male has got different traits of characters, female has got a different traits of characters. You should not confuse between characters and traits. Okay, presence of hair over the scalp in human beings, it's a character. But the structure of hair may be curly, one trait of the hair. It may be straight, another trait of the hair. With respect to the color, a character. Color of the hair is a character, right? A brown color of the hair is one trait. Black color of the hair is another trait, like that. Okay, character is one and traits may be different in different individuals of the same species. A male parent may have a different set of traits in characters, and female parent is having a different set of traits in the characters. And both of them come together. The characters are determined by the genes. The genes are present on the chromosomes. Sperm is carrying a single set of chromosome. Ova is carrying a single set of chromosome. And both these sex cells fuse together to form a zygote. And the zygote is a cell formed by the union of two different cells. As cells from two parents with a different genetic background. And now this zygote is a combination of the characters, a combination of the traits from the different background, and that results in variation. The offspring, individual, formed by the development of the zygote is neither similar to male parent nor to the female parent. And it is also not similar to the other offsprings born to the same parents. And we call this very character. The offspring is not a copy of the parents, as well its siblings. Okay, other individuals, offsprings born to the same parents. And we call the very character as variation. Variation. Sexual reproduction results in the variation, differences in the characters. Or we can simply say that the offsprings born are not copies of the parents, and the offsprings are not identical to each other. And this very phenomenon is a miraculous phenomenon which makes a sexual reproduction much advantageous in the process of evolution. The organisms have evolutionarily preferred sexual reproduction over the asexual reproduction because of this genetic recombination and variation which is caused during the process of sexual reproduction, which is not seen in case of asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, where a part of the body of an animal or a plant will simply grow out, it will simply detach and develop into a new plant or a new animal. It is just a copy of the body. There is no variation. But here, sexual reproduction shows the variation, a very important character. So, these are the features of the sexual reproduction. You have to remember this, very important. It will also help you for NEET examination. Okay. So, features of sexual reproduction is over. Now, let me take another one aspect. I have not written here. Okay, features of sexual reproduction. I have told you, I have to discuss another one aspect here, that is phases. Phases of sexually reproducing organisms. What are the phases which are there in this sexually reproducing organism is something which you have to study here. But before that, I want to add another one point for these features of sexual reproduction. What did I say? The first point, two parents, opposite sex. Second point, the gametes are formed, male gamete and female gamete, by the two parents, male and female parent. But in your textbook, or if you go to some higher books, they have given that the gametes may be formed by the two different parents, male and female parent, or by the same parent. So, when it is same parent, gametes are formed by the same parent or the two parents. When it is same parent, when the animal is hermaphrodite, or when a plant has got both male and female reproductive structure, bisexual structure, the gametes are formed on the same plant. Both the type of gametes, male gamete, female gamete, are formed on the same plant. Both the type of gametes, sperm and ova, is formed in the same animal in case of hermaphrodites. So, in second point, the gametogenesis, the process of formation of gametes, the gametes may be formed by the same parent or different parent. That should be clear for you. So, now let us go to the spaces of sexual reproducing organisms. You see, students, during the time of reproduction, if the organism has to reproduce, let me consider a plant. A plant, it undergoes germination. A seed will undergo germination, a small plantlet. Can you imagine a plant, a small plant bearing 100 flowers, producing 100 fruits? Is it possible? It is not possible. If the plant has to be a flower and produce fruits, first it has to gain sufficient strength. It has to grow, it has to produce branches, it has to have thousands of leaves or hundreds of leaves based upon a kind of plant. It has to photosynthesize, produce food, and the reserve food material has to be stored in the seed, the fruit. So, before the process of flowering in plants and before the process of reproduction in animals, the organism has to gain sufficient physical size, physical capability. In case of animals, the reproductive organs should become prepared. The body should be prepared to bear the young one, to bear the developing embryo in case of mammals, placental animals. So the time period between the germination in case of plant, the time period between the germination and the flowering, we call this as a vegetative phase. Vegetative phase in plants, right? The time period between germination of a plant until the flowering, we call that as a vegetative phase. And in case of animals, the time period from birth to the time of reproduction, an animal becoming capable of producing young ones to take part in the process of reproduction. Okay, that period in case of animal, we call this a juvenile phase. Okay, juvenile phase in animals and vegetative phase in case of plants. And after that, the animal at the time of growth and development, during its juvenile phase, the reproductive organs, the testis, ovary becomes ready, and in case of mammals, uterus will develop. In case of female individuals, it will become ready. Sufficient reserve food material will be stored, and the germ cells are ready to undergo meiosis for the production of sperm and ova. So a sexual maturity will have attained towards the end of juvenile phase. Okay, and after this phase, there occurs reproduction. The plants will be a flower. The flower has got the male part or female part, the pollination will take place, the ovary will develop into a fruit. Inside the ovary there is a structure called a ovule, it will develop into a seed, and inside the seed there is a presence of the embryo, and the seed coming in contact with the soil, it will germinate into new plant. The flower, reproductive organ in the plant, the stage of the plant during when it flowers, we call that as a reproductive phase. And in case of animals, when animals are capable of producing sperm and ova, taking part in the process of sexual reproduction. Okay, in case of lower animals, the sperm and ova may be released outside. Aquatic animals, sperm and ova is released outside. Fertilization is taking place outside the body. We are going to discuss that later on in my forthcoming classes. Or in case of higher animals, mammals, the fertilization is taking place inside the body. Totally, male and female have to take part in the process of reproduction, and they are reproductively capable. And this phase, when the individuals of the species are reproductively capable, we call that as a reproductive phase. This is the first phase, and second phase, reproductive phase. Okay, and after reproduction, and for the process of reproduction, the body has to be physiologically be ready, and the animal or the plant should have a sufficient physical strength, a physiological efficiency. And after the reproduction, the phase, a period of reproduction is over, the organs of the body of the plant or animal will start to lose the vitality, the physiological efficiency. They start to deteriorate. The phase when the physiological efficiency in the body of the organism comes down, there occurs the deterioration of the organs. We call that as a senescent phase, or a phase of aging, which ultimately leads to death. Okay, so the phase 3, the third phase, is senescence. Okay, students, phases of sexually reproducing organism, which is the first phase, vegetative phase in animals, and juvenile phase in, vegetative phase in vegetative phase in plants, juvenile phase in animals, reproductive phase during when reproduction take place, and senescent phase, the phase of aging leading to death. Okay, students, in this class of man, we have studied features of sexual reproduction, phases of sexually reproducing organisms. In my next class, I am going to take up the discussion like reproductive cycles, events of sexual reproduction and so on. Thank you all for listening to me. Thank you once again.